Hi guys, welcome to another Python tutorial video, and in this video we'll be talking about object-oriented programming in Python. So if you are new to object-oriented programming, there's no problem. We'll go over the basics and then we move on from there, and we'll be talking about things like class, inheritance, composition, and many more. So the concept of object-oriented programming itself is a very interesting concept that you need to learn to become a Python programmer, really, because Python itself is an object-oriented programming language, and as such, every element or everything in Python is an object. So where do we start? So let's say you want to create an object in Python. You have to do that with a keyword called class. So I'll just show you what an object looks like, and then I'll explain exactly what is going on in the code. So in Python, you just simply write class and then you write the name of the object. So in this example, I'm going to create an object called person. So all I simply need to do is write person, and like this I've created the object. Now class is acting as a constructor, okay, an object constructor, or a blueprint for creating the object. So and a class is going to have properties and methods. So how do we set the properties in this class and the methods? We simply do that by calling the magic init function. And to call the magic init function, we have to use the def keyword, so define, and then you say underscore, double underscore, and then this init function, right? And it ends with double underscore. Now in the bracket, the first thing that goes in here is self, and you don't need to worry about this for now. I'm going to explain it when we get to our IDE, our Visual Studio Code. Okay, so self, and then you give it the parameters you want to pass into this init function. So a person would definitely have a name, for instance, okay, and maybe the person is also going to have like age. Okay, so I've passed in two parameters or two arguments right here, excluding the self, which is compulsory. Okay, so I'll close that up, and this is my init function completed. Now the next thing I want to say is self dot name, and I just have to give it name. So I'm going to say self here dot age equals age. Now this self, sorry about that, and write the age correctly, erase. So self.age equals age. Now why do we need self right here? We need this self because we want a way to tell Python that we are referring to this particular name and age in the person class, not some other maybe some other variable in the program called name and age. So this is why we need self. Now having created this person class, you need to, so let's create a method, for instance. So we can also create a method by using the def keyword, right? The def keyword once again, and the name of the method. So let's say full name of the method, and then we also give it the self parameter right here, and just print name, for instance. Okay, and remember you have to reference self, because if you don't reference self right here, you would run into a problem and your code is going to have error. So you always have to say self dot name, so Python knows that it's referring to this particular name which you set up here. Okay, so having done this, we now have to instantiate a class, create an instance of a class, And to do that, we just simply need to call the name of the instance. So man, we create a variable, and then we set man to become a person. So we say person, and then we tell it the name and the age, because we already set that up while creating the person class. So for example, we can say person, and we say the name can be John, and then we also give it the age, for instance 32. So this is the very basic of creating a class, and then creating an instance of a class. So man is a type of person, okay, and man is going to have a name John and age 32, and then we can start doing a whole lot of stuff with this particular class and instance of this object we've created. So let's head over to Visual Studio Code. I'm going to simply fire up my command prompt once again, and I'll go to desktop, and then I'm just going to open code.py, which I've created before now in my Visual Studio Code. So we start our coding what we've learned so far in the Blackboard session. So we have a class called person, right? And then once we have this, we have started creating a class. Now the next thing is we need to call the magic init function. And one thing you need to know about this magic init function is that it's going to be called automatically in your code. So you don't need to, as against other function where you need to call it explicitly before the function is going to run, this magic init function is going to be called automatically, guys. So I have self, and I'm just going to switch this up a little by calling this first name, for instance, and I want to give it another variable called last name. So I'm just going to do L name. So that's for first name and last name, and I will take away this pass statement for now. I will explain when you need a pass statement later on in this video. So I've defined the magic init function. Remember, guys, then I have to say self, okay, dot name. So self dot name, and remember, we're not using name, we're using f name right here. So you can see that. So I have to say self dot f name, and then equals to the name, okay, or equals to the f name. So we're setting f name, and then we will do the same for L name. So what you do is say self dot L name, and then equals to L name. Okay, so having done this, the next thing we want to do is just define a method. Okay, so we're going to define a method by saying, for example, define, and the method is going to be full name. Okay, so a method full name, and full name is just going to concatenate the f name and the L name, so the first name and the last name. So full name is going to be a method that will also take the self parameter. So this will help us reference this f name and last name that we initialized here in the in the person class, okay, in under the init function. So the next thing we need to do is really just do a print statement right here, and we're just going to say print self. So we need to reference self all the time when we're using that, and we need to say self dot f name, right? And then we'll just pair that with a space, and then we would say self, right, dot L name. Sorry, not L name, L name, L name, and then we'll save this. So I have created a person class, I've defined a magic init function, and I've passed in self, which is always the first parameter you pass in, and then I have f name and L name, and I created a method in the person class full name, which just prints out the full name of the person. Now what will I do next? So Next is to create an instance of a class. And how do I do that? You call the variable name. So man is going to be the name of the instance, and then man will be equals to what? Person, right? And when I open and close my brackets, I have to give it the first name and the last name. So in this case, I'm going to say the first name is going to be John, John, and the last name will be Peters. So John Peters, and I'm going to save that. Okay, so once I save this, I can start doing some stuff with this particular man object. Okay, so this is going to be man object. Now the first thing I want us to do is to just check exactly what man is. So remember how we check the type in Python. We've done this before. So let's do a print statement right here, and what we just want to do is know the type, right? So, and we just say man. Okay, so I'll save that. And so here we want to print out the type of man. So what exactly is man? Let Python tell us. So I'm just going to create a new terminal. I'm going to drag this one up here so you see it very well. Clear my screen and just cd into desktop. Okay, and okay, so we're ready to run our program. So I'll just type python code.py, okay, and hit enter, and you see that it's so man is a class, right, of, you see main, and then you see dot person. So man here is an object, right? It's a class of person, so it's created from person. So that is why you see this right here. Now what is the next thing we can do, or what is the next thing we want to do? Let us access this method we defined. So the full name method. How do we access the full name method? We just have to say man, right, and then we say dot full name. So if we do this right here and we save that, remember it's a method, so we have to do that, and we can simply come down here, clear this, and then run our code once again, and we have John Peters being printed to my console, which you can see right here. What else can we do? We can actually access the first name, for instance. So we can get what the name is just by having a print statement here like this, and we can easily say man dot, okay, f name, for instance, and we save this. So if we print this statement now, we run our code once again, we will see that we have John. Okay, so this is all about creating a class and then creating an object, okay, from that class. So and that's creating an instance of that class called man. So let us do one more example, and after we do one more example, we head over to inheritance. So in the next example, I'm just going to comment this out. So you go to edit, and then you'll see toggle block commenting, right? Save this. So we have that commented out, and then let's just create a new let's start a new class again. So this is just like a repetition, just to cement the idea of creating classes and then an instance of that class in object-oriented programming. Okay, so we create a new class, okay, and that class is going to be called human, for instance, and then under human, the next thing we want to do is create our magic init function. So def then underscore init, right, and then you have self, okay, which is the first thing, and then we want our human to have just a name and age. Okay, so this is what we want to do, and then the next thing we want to do is, so I'll just pull this down a little, guys, so we have a room to work. The next thing we want to do, guys, is initialize the variable. So remember, our init always have properties, and then it has methods. So what are the properties? The properties is going to be self.name, okay, and we want that to be name, okay. And then the next one is going to be self.age, and we want that to be 32. Okay, so we're done defining our properties right here in the init function, and the next thing we want to do is have methods. Okay, so the first method we want to define is the work method. So if I call the work method, I need to give it the self once again. So I tell it that so Python knows that it's actually going to make use of the properties we have defined in the init function, and we just want to have a print statement. That is, we're going to format this print statement like this to just use the name. Okay, so the print statement is going to use self.name right here, and then we have so it's going to say the name of the person is now working, right? And we can copy this and do one more for talking. Ctrl C to copy that, hit your enter, backspace, and Ctrl V. So we change this to TALK, talk, and self.name once again, and we just say is now talking, right? So now this is what we currently have right here. The next thing we want to do is we want to now initialize an object from this class. Okay, so we want to create an instance of the class. And how do we do that? We just say, for example, a boy. So we call this a boy, and then we set the boy to be human. Okay, and what do we want to do? We want to say what is the name of the boy. So the name of the boy is going to be Ritik, and then the age, sorry guys, small mistake, this is going to be set to age, small mistake guys. So, and then the age right here is going to be 32. So I was thinking ahead of myself, guys. So the age is going to be 32. Now we're done with the instance of this particular class, and now want to start accessing it. So the first thing we want to do is access the methods, boy.work, all right, and then we want to access boy.talk, TALK. All right, we save that, and let's run the code to see what we have. First we clear, and then we run the code like this, and you see Ritik is now working, Ritik is now talking. And then one more thing we want to do is we want to just say boy dot name, okay, and what we want to do is print this out. So we want to know the name of the boy we set. So boy.name, we save this, we clear this, so we have space, and you see Ritik shows out. Now you can actually change the parameters given. Okay, so you can change the values. Okay, so you remember the age is currently 32. Let's change the age and see what's going to happen. How do you do that? You just reference it like this and say boy.age equals to, let's change that to 45. Okay, and we save this, and now on the next line let's print the age and see exactly what it is, if we changed it or not. So say print boy.age, and we save that, and this is what we currently have. So let's run this code now, clear, to show you space, and then run it, and you see the current age is now 45 right here. So in the next video we're going to start talking about inheritance. I hope you learned something from this. Please like, subscribe to our channel if you've not, turn on your notification so you don't miss our next upload, and then I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, guys.